we have to create the right vibe, you know, the energy, and everybody at the organization has to feel so privileged to be here. It's no other way.
Thanks for listening to the Purely Arsenal podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at Purely Arsenal FP for all the latest Arsenal podcasts.
Welcome to another edition of a Purely Arsenal sit-down podcast. It's Arsenal 5, Manchester City 1. They've been humbled, and I've got Neil Shah with me to discuss it all. How are you, Neil, this lovely Monday morning? Ah, the beautiful celebration. Never need to see it again, but wow, beautiful. How are you, mate?
I'm good. It could be better. Unbelievable, mate. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's get into it. Oh, it was fantastic, wasn't it? You watched it at home, did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Watched it.
Same, yeah. I mean, it sounded like the atmosphere was electric, and we needed it to be. Mikel Arteta calls on the fans sometimes, and I think he did in this one. We're depleted, we're tired, but this was a huge game for many reasons. Obviously, Man City being our sort of arch nemesis for a couple of years, stopped us winning a couple of titles. Huge charges hanging over their head that no one seems to like to talk about. Spent 200 million this January to try to fix everything, and we go and we still batter them. It was fantastic, but a lot was left at the Etihad, Neil, and you felt there was going to be possibly things that could boil over here. There was so much anger and aggression and deep-seated feelings there amongst the fans, amongst the players. This is like what a proper rivalry is all about, by the way. This is exactly what it should be. All this Liverpool and City, loving over the last 6-7 years, that's why it won't get remembered. It doesn't get remembered. That's why everyone still talks about Arsenal, Man U. This is exactly what it's all about, and this brings out the best in us, I think, Neil. But Neil, what are your overall thoughts? Amazing win, 5-1. I don't necessarily think it was our best performance of the season as such, but we did what we had to do. We deserved to win thoroughly, and we did so, didn't we?
Oh, mate, where do you begin? Just an overall opinion on it. We've been ravaged by injuries, absolutely ravaged. I mean, I'm not talking about third tier, second tier. We're talking about top tier injuries throughout the season. Currently still suffering, as you know, well, as everyone well knows. You got that. You've got all the horrible decisions that we've been victim of over the season, which has cost us points, which has left us most of the fans, if not all of them, just scratching our heads and thinking, is it even worth watching, because it's not a level playing field anymore. You've got that to contend with, and then you've got all the negative media exposure that we suffer from as well constantly. Not like the other clubs where Tottenham could be 17th, but they're not a team in crisis. We dropped 2 points and we're suddenly a team in crisis, and we're question marks all over us, and whether the manager's good enough and whether our buying policy is right, and all of this nonsense. It's just constant barrage of negativity. And, we're coming to face an opponent which is arguably been the best team in Europe for the last, 5-6 years or whatever it is. And they've come in a good spate of form recently. They've gone through a tough time by their own standards, and they've all of a sudden come on back on form, and we're, there you go, just in time to face us. And I just thought the lads, despite everything, despite all the odds, that we set up very professionally. We showed a good degree of skill, technical skill, and I think it was just the professionalism and desire that that they were just not going to allow a repeat of the Etihad, where I think we were unfortunate to drop 2 points. We should have won that game as well, and I think it was literally a revenge mission. And I think you touched on that other bit quite nicely, the niggle, which is so important. We saw it with Skelly and Haaland, Gabriel and Haaland, and a few others around the pitch. And I just think, that really makes a massive difference, where you almost got something almost like to prove, maybe just for yourself and obviously for the club. But that niggle is so important, and I think it does go down in what's actually remembered, because it gives personality to the players, something that maybe we were in abundance of during Wenger's golden years. We had all those personalities, strong personalities on the pitch, and I think now we're starting to see a bit of that Skelly and his celebration, for example, and Gabriel right from the off after when we scored our first goal, passing Haaland and making a comment or saying something to him. Just brilliant, little bits and pieces like that. But what a great overall performance, Jack. It's just unbelievable. Even after they scored, we replied immediately and the rest is history. But yeah, let's get into it. Amazing. Could not be happier, mate. Unbelievable. And a long time coming. Top 4 side where we have not been able to really smash them like we used to get consistently beaten. 5-0, 6-0, 7-1, 8-2, all of that. It's all history, man. Now we're starting to do it. I just could not be happier. It's amazing.
Yeah, agree with all of that, really. Fantastic. And yeah, you bring up some great points. I mean, on the starting lineup, I don't want to go into it too much because there wasn't really, I think the team almost picked itself. Obviously, a little bit of touch and go with Raya, so fantastic that he came through because we'd watched Neto in midweek and I would have been really worried there. We've left ourselves with a big risk there, to be honest, with the transition from Ramsdale to him. And I don't think it was one that Arteta wanted, but that's a talk for another time. But Lewis-Skelly was obviously a big call, because Calafiori's back now and he's playing really well and he's definitely fully fit. He's been fully fit for weeks. What a massive call that was. I think we all expected it. We saw midweek Lewis-Skelly was coming off the bench, so it looked like it was expected. Wanyeri was the other big call, and he decided to put Wanyeri on the bench, and there was a lot of, on our text threads, a lot of frustration there and uproar there. I wasn't quite as angry, in fairness, pre-game about it, because Wanyeri had just come back from injury, and I considered that, and he played 90 in midweek, and I thought, well, hold on a minute, let's, what are we considering here? My biggest concern with it was I felt, did we need one of Trossard or Martinelli from the bench? We know how good Trossard is from the bench, and we know how big Martinelli's energy can sometimes be from the bench. And I hadn't yet felt that Wanyeri, though earlier in the season we felt it a little bit, Wanyeri was this sort of bench impact player necessarily, So I thought, that'll be interesting. But I'll tell you what, threw my words down my throat, so we'll get to that one in a second. But Neil, we started so well. Our press was perfect for, well, you could argue all the game, but for that first sort of 20 minutes, we pressed them so brilliantly, I thought, in the front. For everything from Odegaard to Havertz to Declan Rice, is just, he might be the best at it, to be honest, at winning the ball high. I mean, he's just so good at it. And our first press, I think it's a kind of dodgy ball from Stones into a Kanji, and Trossard's on him in a flash, and he gets a little deflection and Rice straight away to Havertz. And Havertz is, in fairness, very unselfish with it, to give it to Odegaard, and it's brilliant. And we'd said, I think it was last week, how key Odegaard's goal might have been, that he got about a week ago. I think it was in the Champions League, that sort of final goal, and he gets another one here, and it does have that knock-on effect with it, because he can be so good for us in those positions, Odegaard, and you feel like his confidence is just brewing and it's just building, it's bubbling, because he's so important for us, Neil. But that press early on was fantastic, wasn't it?
I think this is the key to the whole game, the tactics and the strats of how Arteta got his players to approach it, because we were defending with a high press as well. So it wasn't, it was just the whole team was forward, and I think that was just putting the pressure on the City players right from the get-go. But I think he mixed it up. We were doing that. We were then with a low block when needed. We were doing that. We were so relentless when they had the ball. We had like packs of our players on them. It was just so good to see overall. But that particular high press was what basically created the first goal. It was said in commentary that the City have been a bit kind of suspect in these situations, and I think Arteta played to that absolutely brilliantly. Just quickly, just on the lineup, what you were saying, I think Raya for me was the main one, because obviously it was telling, and a little bit after that, but which we'll talk about. So that was a huge call. Amongst a couple of the others that you mentioned, but the Raya one, we got to remember this was an all-round team performance. It wasn't just a bunch of players. I think every single player was a massive contribution to this. But yeah, the first goal. I mean, a lot of question marks about the wingers, our attacking wingers, of Trossard and Martinelli. But Trossard, I think, I felt has been back to his best in the last few games. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, he might not have scored yesterday. Martinelli, we can talk about a bit later as well. But, they've both been playing so much better. And I think actually out of the two, especially Trossard for me, but he was on that like a flash. I think the goal was coming because of the high press, because of what Arteta had implemented in terms of his strategy. And I think Trossard was a massive or hugely integral into everything we were doing, as well as Martinelli. In that particular goal, he as you said, Jack, his touch allowed Rice to come in and lay off that beautiful, just a one-touch pass to Havertz. Havertz had been questioned over his directness, whether he should shoot more often, which I do agree he should, but I think he's lacking a little bit of confidence there. But I think on this occasion, he made the right choice, and it was obviously because it led to the goal. And I think you're right, with Odegaard scoring just a couple of games ago has been huge, because he's not been quite himself in front of the goal, putting the ball away. But, although it took slight deflection, it was always going in. First goal, bang, straight away, we're up and running. And that set the tone, because we had another goal which was offside. We had another chance a bit later on, I think, with Havertz. So I think that really did set the tone. And I think it put them on the back foot a lot. And I think that dictated the way the game was going to go throughout the whole 90 minutes, because we were just setting the pace. Absolutely fantastic to see, and so pleased for Odegaard. And that's what we needed to do against teams like this: get that early start, get our backs up, get the wind in ourselves, and bang, we're on our way.
Yeah, and it's always like Anthony texted straight away, didn't he? We've scored too early, right? Because, and I thought about it. I mean, I don't really know. I don't know what to think there, but I didn't feel that way at the time. I have to say that I didn't feel that way at the time. Sometimes you do feel like that, and we carried on. We have had such a huge chance. Same thing again from a big press, where I think Declan Rice does brilliant, doesn't he? He slides in and wins it off one of their defenders. It might be Stones. And it goes straight to Havertz, and he should do better. Let's be honest. I mean, we were all really frustrated with that. I think my biggest frustration is not that he missed it, is that he missed the target, and he also went to the corner that the defender was in. I think that was my frustration as well. I was like, I don't really understand that. I understand you're trying to go for the corner when you can miss the target, but for me, go for the other side, And he had a lot of time to look at it, in fairness, a lot of time to take his chance and look at it. And that was, I think it was a 0.77 XG, which is huge when you consider a penalty is 0.8, so that's a huge is a huge chance. And if you did feel at that point and maybe even a little bit later when they equalised that chance could be quite costly. I just want to say at 1-0, I felt we got a little bit in two minds as to, and you see this under Arteta a lot, but maybe you see it a bit more against big teams like City and Liverpool, where he gets a little bit in two minds as to whether to sit deep, because we are so comfortable sitting deep. We're a very comfortable team without the ball when we're leading. I think. I mean, I personally think we're the best defensive team in the league. I think arguably in Europe, when you've seen what we've seen so far this season. Time will tell on that, but I think we're right up there. And I think he was in a little bit of two minds of whether to play a transition game, which I think was what he was trying to do, or continue to go full throttle. And within that space, Neil, in the first half, there was a 15-minute spell where City were dominating the ball, but they started to create a few chances. And I thought within that time, from the headed corner from Gabriel, I think it was, and Savinho had a deflected shot. I thought David Raya was fantastic again. And to be honest, they did not create a lot in the game. Those were probably, other than Haaland's goal, those were probably their two main chances. If you think about the second half, they didn't really create a ton at all, did they? But David Raya was so crucial in those moments, Neil, I felt.
This is where it was so important that he played. Neto, we saw him really, my first real viewing of him as an Arsenal player the other day, and I was like, oh God. I mean, we don't need that nervousness, because that nervousness or that uncertainty can filter to the defenders, and that could be catastrophe for us. So, and against City, they're ruthless. When they sniff any kind of weakness, they are absolutely ruthless, and we didn't need that. So Raya's inclusion, and he looked pretty sharp as well. Let's not let's not beat around the bush. He looked pretty good. It changes everything. It changes the whole dynamic. That where not just City, but where any team finally can breach some defence, and it has been a good defence. Because look, if you think about the Champions League run, with that goal that we conceded the other day was the first one in open play for so much time, and it's been literally throughout our whole campaign. I think it's just been one goal from open play or something, isn't it? Something stupid like that. Yeah,
3 total. The silly penalty at Inter.
Yes,
the goal from open play, and another that I'm not recalling.
So that's it. So the defence is you can't no one can argue that the defence has been weak. Our defence has been solid. But if there is a breach, you need a very good, competent and assured goalkeeper, and Raya is all of those in abundance. I mean, those 2 saves are unreal, especially the one where he parried onto the bar. Luckily, I think it was Saliba had Gabriel.
He did really well blocking Haaland.
Saliba. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And then the other one where he actually it was wrong-footed and he had to dive down to the floor, and then he pushed the ball away. Yeah. It's just things like that which then you see, if your goalkeeper is doing that, I think it inspires even more confidence within the defensive unit as well. Thinking, all right, we've been breached. I mean, maybe we had a mistake, but the goalkeeper's there behind us. But let me just point out, I know we're going to speak so much about him, but let me just point out Skelly as well in this, his defensive part, as well as what he done afterwards. He's just such an unbelievably mature player for his age. And what I see him doing is, he's not scared of the big personalities, i.e. Haaland, for example. The way he's not afraid of taking one-on-ones as well. He's just so confident with what he does. He uses his body really well. He can win the ball back, even when he makes a mistake. Remember, there was 1 minute where I think this was during their spell, which eventually led to their goal, where I think there was one time where he lost the ball to Foden, and he just chased him down. And together with Odegaard, they got it back. Yeah, I think Odegaard eventually fouls him, but he chases him down. And it's just shows that if he loses the ball, he doesn't get upset. His head doesn't drop. He just keeps on going. But the way he uses his body, the way he recovers the ball, but it's not just recovering the ball and then maybe passing it back to another defender or sideways or back to the goalkeeper. He then carries the ball forward. And that's what I love about him. His mindset is always, right, I've got my defensive hat on. As soon as that's done, right, attacking hat on. Forward we go. And for someone at that age, someone that's just come on board from the academy, from a Hale-end boy, it's just unbelievable. You remember I was talking about Ethan all season. But actually, this guy has come over and he's been brilliant to come and he's made that position his own. Considering who we had there, Timber was going to be playing there. You've got Calafiore, Tomiyasu if he was fit. And I think even if Tomiyasu was fit, Jack, he'd still be keeping all of these players out, all of them. It'll be him. He is number one now. And it's amazing what this kid is doing. So Raya has just been fantastic, but Timber, Skelly, it's just been on another level, mate. Yeah. Unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, we could talk. I do want to come back to him when we get to his goal, because there's a couple of things I want to talk about with it. One thing we didn't mention on the goal was the Gabriel sort of shout at Haaland, and Gary Neville's come out with some more gibberish about Gabriel basically he would take offence to that. It's almost disrespectful, with a complete disregard for why that has come up in the first place, when Haaland has basically disrespected an 18-year-old on the pitch. It's disrespected our manager, let's be honest. There was no need for him to say anything like that. You can say what you like, but I thought Arteta handled it brilliantly in his press conferences as well, and he knew he had it coming to him. And if you weren't going to show up, every single one of our players had it coming to him. And I dislike that, because Neville came from the era of having one of the most irritating sort of conniving, backstabbing type players in Ruud van Nistelrooy and his team, who did a lot of this sort of stuff and backed it up like Haaland does. But that's the exact reason why, when that Battle of Old Trafford happened, that was a build-up. It wasn't just the fact that he got Vieira sent off for something that was a build-up of a lot of things. Brad Roy laying his studs down, Ashley Cole's shins, and all this sort of stuff. I know that came after it, but there was a build-up of a lot of stuff, elbows into bodies and things like that had come from him. And this is the same with Haaland. If you're gonna bring it and say it, one thing you know, and Gabriel. What I love about Gabriel and Lewis-Skelly is they seem to be able to have that aggressive nature and that you know, that frustration, but they keep it controlled on the pitch. Like Gabriel, when he shouted at him at 5th minute, I was like, it's too early. Do you know what I mean? That's where I was thinking it was too early, because it kind of reminded me of Saka's dart throw when Maddison, and I never liked that either. I was like, do that at the end of the game or something. Like, don't do it right now. And you always felt it was going to bite us a little bit, and to a degree maybe it did. But you know, Gabriel I thought was fantastic in this game. But you're right on Raya, absolutely right on Lewis-Skelly. I mean, there's so much to talk about him, but just before we do, I mean, in the second half they had that 5-minute spell. I thought we started quite well actually, but then the goal is frustrating, Neil, because you felt we were inviting pressure, but we were controlling them. But it did look so easy from their point of view, that goal, in a way. I mean, to be fair, Savinho finds a pocket of space, and it is a really good delivery from him with his weaker foot. And I think it makes Saliba look worse than he is, because I don't think Saliba's as good as Gabriel in the air. But the problem is, once you get under the ball, and Haaland's got such a leap on him, there's not a lot I don't think Saliba can do, really, unless he gets up early or gets his body in front of him. So maybe it's his positioning that I'm more concerned with. And I guess that you got to stop the cross coming in, but I guess Saliba could do a little bit better in terms of his positioning and get in front of Haaland, you know?
Yeah, you could do. I mean, but I think you guys have been saying it from, you know, for a long time now, that's why they're the perfect foil, because both Saliba and Gabriel have got their pros and cons, or their strengths and weaknesses. But that's why they work so well together, because they're not the same strengths and weaknesses. Gabriel's always been, I think, the better aerial defender, and it's just unfortunate that he wasn't actually marking Haaland at that point in time. So Saliba's positioning could have been better, but you're right. Once that was not there, there was always ever going to be one winner. But I do have to say, you know, Haaland, with his celebration, acting just so smug with it, apart from that, he's done nothing all game. He had about 8 touches, and isn't it the last 3 times we faced them that we have completely nullified Haaland? Absolutely nullified him, and yesterday was no different at all, Jack. Yes, he scored, but I don't think there's many defenders with his kind of height and his leap abilities that could have missed it, because it was literally planted on the head for him. I think it was more about the cross and anything that Haaland did, because apart from that, Haaland has done absolutely nothing all game. So
10 total touches.
There you go. So for a striker, I mean, they were talking to Henry about it afterwards, and he was basically just, without being rude, he was just shitting on Haaland, to be honest, because he was saying, for a striker who's supposed to be that good, well, actually, is he really? He's basically saying, what's he doing apart from, and then, you know, there's an argument whether he's that kind of player, but he's going, yeah, he's that kind of player when you're winning and you're doing well, that's fine. But when you're not winning and when you're getting smashed to pieces, you should be doing more. And Henry was just out with the daggers for him.
Well, he's right. Yeah. He's right, because he's almost a passenger if it's not going well, isn't it?
Yes.
If everything's perfect, he's the icing and the cherry on the cake, isn't he? But if it's not, you know, you'd much rather, if you're going through the trenches, you'd much rather a Kai than a Haaland. If everything's golden ticket perfect, then maybe different. So yeah, good point.
Yeah, no, it's true. But I think I think we just going to go back a bit and just mention Martinelli quickly, because you got to remember he had the ball in the net, and that was unlucky, because he was offside, fair enough, but that was a great chip. So I think, you know, where I was saying earlier that I think Trossard has regained some of his old self again. I think Martinelli too. I think our wingers played quite a big part. They didn't score, but I think they played a big part in that game in ruffling some feathers, especially the defensive feathers. You know, I think again, I'm probably just messing up the whole pod and going backwards and forwards with it all. But I just want to mention that being an all-round team performance and being a professional performance there with it has been a massive contribution to what we achieved. And and we can talk all day about 5 different goal scorers. And of course, some of them were just amazing, very, very good goals. But I've also got to mention the midfield, and I'm not going to include Odegaard deliberately because I think Odegaard is the orchestra, he's a captain. But I want to mention Partey and Rice very quickly, and I think they were at their best. I think they're probably 2 of the best midfielders in the league, and I think we were not far from seeing them at their best yesterday. And I think they were so huge in running the engine and literally controlling the whole of that midfield. That's another contributory factor as to why we beat City the way we did yesterday. They were brilliant, Jack. I just wanted to give them a shout out. And you know what? If things had gone our way, Rice could have had about 4 or 5 assists yesterday.
Yeah.
He actually
ended up with 2, didn't he?
He got 2,
yeah.
But you got to remember that he could have ended up with a lot more. If Havertz scored that goal, I think that was his Rice assist. And I think even there was another one wasn't it when Martinelli, Havertz won the ball back in defence a bit later on, and Martinelli, I think he was running up. Rice supplied the ball to Martinelli, that's it, and Martinelli created a save from the keeper. So that
4 key passes, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's
4 key passes. What was his second assist after the Kai one? What one? Oh, we'll get to it. Sure we'll get to. Oh no, of course it's the one year. Why am I forgetting that?
There you go.
Beautiful ball. Unbelievable. But no, you spot him. I thought Partey. I mean, let's get to his goal. I thought he was fantastic. I thought he edged man of the match for me because I felt Rice kind of grew into the game. Though he had a brilliant press for the Havertz chance, and that's when I kind of woken to what he was doing. But the pair of them that were terrific, and with Miles Lewis-Skelly inverting, they just absolutely battered the 3 midfielders of Kovacic, Foden, and Bernardo Silva, who was so lucky that not to be sent off. He didn't even get booked, Bernardo Silva. And honestly, what I don't like is when we win games, I still want to make sure we hold the refs accountable because they're so bad that sometimes we need to be so good to overcome them. But I felt at 1-1 the ref felt there was an opportunity to have a say in this matter, really. I really did. I felt there was some stuff they were doing off the ball. There were some decisions going, just little things, little niggly things that I noticed were going their way. One ridiculous cross from Trossard that deflected out, and then Odegaard tried to keep it in and they gave it as a goal kick. And I'm like, how can that possibly be a goal kick from a deflection? It doesn't even make sense. But the bigger one was Bernardo Silva made about 6 or 7 fouls. 5 or 6 of them just didn't get given. Kicked Trossard on the floor. Nothing, but we absolutely battered them in there. It was so beautiful to see Foden give the ball away. And the ref didn't realise it, but he basically disguised that ball because Foden couldn't see Partey behind the ref, and I thought that was poetic justice in a way, because I was like, you've laid that on a plate for us there, ref. Thank you very much. And if you don't shoot, you don't score, do you? And sometimes we say that. We say take a shot. And I'm sure not a lot of us were saying that at that point because we had a lot of numbers up there. But he takes a shot. It takes a wicked deflection. It goes into the bottom corner. And that's sort of luck we haven't really been getting. And it was such a key moment because it was a minute after they'd scored, and I think after that point we took the ascendancy again to say, okay, we're not going to see this game out the way we were doing it before. It's time to go full throttle again. And even though we played a bit of a transition game at that point, I thought that may have been the key moment of the game, alongside the David Raya saves. I thought that may have been the key moment of the game, Neil. And then obviously Lewis-Skelly one. Which, I think the Lewis-Skelly one is a Declan Rice assist, so it must have been that one. That was the other one. And it is a ball inside to Lewis-Skelly. Neil, I mean, this is really sort of a coming of age moment in a way, because he's obviously in the last game, the first game against at the Etihad, he has his debut, doesn't he? He has his debut. He's already been booked on the sidelines, Lewis-Skelly, which we should have known what type of character he was when he told David Raya to sit on the floor at the Etihad, and how he probably wasn't even told that. Lewis-Skelly's probably tactical mind is thinking like it. But I implore you to watch. I never do this, but to watch fans do these silly hate-alongs where they watch the other team, and obviously Arsenal, the most hated team on the planet. And I thought, let me watch it, and I wanted to see what they did when Lewis-Skelly scored, and I wanted to see what they did when he done his celebration. And Neil, I'm telling you that some of them actually make some really interesting points. They're like, oh my goodness, this kid is 18 years old and he's doing Haaland celebration. I think Carragher made one good point. He said, I don't think I've seen confidence in an 18-year-old like this since Wayne Rooney. But the difference is Wayne Rooney was a forward, he's sort of a maverick type player. This guy's a left back, or he is in our system. But he has this swagger about him and this confidence about him that is just going to take him so far because he can back it all up on the pitch. But he does so good, doesn't he? He cuts inside onto his weaker foot. It's a great shot. Maybe the keeper should save it, but who cares? It's a great finish. Lovely little curler. But that encapsulated with the celebration, everything like that. I mean, they'll say it's, it's bitter, it's petty. I think it's fantastic, Neil.
It's perfect. It's perfect. We need it. We need it. We need it, and we need the other players in the squad to see it as well. And I think this kind of little bit of banter, niggle, whatever you want to call it, little bit of kind of how can you say conflicts that you might have with other players. It's so needed because we were brilliant at it in Wenger's golden era. We really were. There were so many of those. It was Keown and Nistelrooy. Now it's Skelly and Gabriel against Haaland. We need all of these kind of little conflicts, I think, because it just spices things up and adds personality. And I think it's just nice, especially in a win like this, it's something else, another talking point in a positive way for us, at least for us Arsenal fans. And like you said, it's bringing out all the other stuff from the haters as well. It's just great. It's fantastic. Good. More of it. We want more of it. But Skelly's just unbelievable. I mean, yeah, that's right. Rice, I think it's that one, the Nweri one, and then of course the other chances that that the other players didn't quite fulfil. But Rice again, in the thick of it, it's just great. But Skelly's just to go forward. It's just him, and it's just carrying the ball and running. And this is what I loved about it. He took it, but he just ran through, didn't he? He just ran through the defenders and he took his chance. And like you said, okay, maybe the goalkeeper would have done better, but it was so deserved. It basically was a way of saying to him that thank you very much, that's for your hard work. Not just today, but actually since you've arrived as an Arsenal player and almost as a first team choice now. And it was, and who better to do it against? What a team to do it against as well, to get your first goal. Just brilliant. But the celebration, he's not scared, is he? He's just got no fear.
It's mental.
Well, do you remember? It was you that mentioned it, I think, when that game, where not the one where it wasn't the one where he was booked, or was it the one where he was booked on the subs bench? But at the end, I think this is the one where
we had the Tottenham one as well, where he
that's
waited
right.
in the crowd picking it up.
Of course.
But then there was also, I think you might even be talking about the. It might have been Everton at home where he kind of he was really laying into a few players, and
that's it.
Yeah, he just got such a bite about him.
Yeah, he's just not scared. You think that he's 18 and he might be like, it's not really my place to be doing this yet because I'm not really established in the team. You do as a human being, don't you? Like, you think, no, I better leave that to the seniors, or they might have a word with me thinking, calm down, lad, you're not supposed to be doing that. He don't care, Jack. He will just take them all on. I think a bit of Jack Wilshere comes to mind, because Jack Wilshere was a bit like that. He was like in their players' face as well. Do you remember? He would not back down. He was very, very straightforward with them, and he wouldn't take any rubbish from anyone. And he kind of reminds me of that. It's just so kind of full of it. It's not arrogance, but it's an assured confidence, I think, in the lad. And he's just so good with it. And what a player he's going to become. You know it. We've got him, Ethan, and then look, let's not forget Saka. There's three of them that come from the Hale End. Oh, what a trio of players. It's mouth-watering. I can't wait for Saka to be back in this team, actually. I don't know if we're going to see him this season, but three of them together, our future, surely. We just need to win a big trophy now, and I think that completes it for us going forward. But Skelly, come on. Amazing stuff from him. Amazing.
Yeah, and the character part is the most interesting part for me, because that can take you so far. Like when we win stuff, the beauty of the Invincibles were, even the foreign players, they they really bought into the mentality of what it was to be an Arsenal player and what it was even to that sort of English side of being an Arsenal player. There's interviews there of like Partey and Vieira talking about sort of being more British and all this sort of stuff. Not that you need to be, but they really wanted to understand the culture and the heritage of the club, you know. And obviously Lewis-Skelly's got that, you know, it's within him. He's been there since he was 7-8 years old, but you can tell it's there. You can tell he's waited for this moment his whole life. You can tell he's been building this for a decade, you know. But really, full credit to Arteta as well. One, for seeing him in this position, because no one saw it. You know, in the youth level, he wasn't playing at left back, or at least not until recently, and he's been playing as a midfielder, and everyone says, you know, he's going to be a midfielder, but when you're playing this good at left back, and I think he is our best one-on-one left back defensively, like, so that, you know, that's saying we've got 5 left backs now. 4 of them sitting on the bench, all being paid huge wages, and this guy is our best one-on-one defensive left back, which is probably the reason he starts. It's not because of what he just did there. It's because if we go in the other way, he's going to shut you down, and you know, even better than our 42 million signing that we've just had, and that is a really amazing thing.
Do you know what the other thing is? It's also, he could have so easily not been playing. Can you imagine?
Yeah, Michael Oliver wanted that, didn't he?
And I think maybe something's been seen in him that, God, this guy's going to be a threat, especially against the Cities of this world. And I tell you what, I'll send him off. It didn't bloody work, did it, mate? It's been appealed.
Exactly.
Thank goodness, Jack, we appealed it, because from our history, we don't tend to do that, but we appealed it. Thank goodness we appealed it, because otherwise we would not have seen Skelly in this game, and it could have been different. You know, you talked about turning points. I think the Raya saves were. But can you imagine if he hadn't made those saves, or at least one of them, it would have been a different game. Yeah. Because at that point, they would have been ahead. I think because that was after the goal, wasn't it? Or was
it was before.
Oh, sorry, before. Oh, okay.
But I did feel, I mean, I know they scored, but it did feel a big moment for me, yeah.
Yeah, because they did have that 10 or 20 minutes, you're right. I think around the 20-minute mark, they kind of took over a little bit. Yeah. And it could have been so much different. So that's a turning point. But I think the inclusion of Skelly as well is a big turning point, just by him being there. Just incredible. So, I'm so glad we appealed.
And what I liked about when it was 3-1 and the celebration was fantastic, and the players around him and the pictures, I mean, just hang it wherever you want. But then we made it a transition game, and that's when to do it. If you're 2 goals up, that's okay when you've got a team that's so dominant with the ball with City. But 1-0 up with so long left in the game, I hope we've learned something from that, because it leaves it at they were there for the taking. That's what this game proved. They were so there for the taking. I felt we could have gone at them earlier a bit more, but it's fine. We recovered and we learned, and quickly learned our lesson. We took it up another level. But at 3-1-0, they make a lot of changes. They take off their £80 million signing, who's on 250 grand a week, who we didn't notice. They take off Phil Foden. They bring on more 80 million signings. It doesn't do anything for them. They're out of it. And the fourth goal is probably the best team goal, from Partey to Martinelli, who makes a great one, to Havertz, who deserved his goal. And it was a really confident finish, wasn't it?
This was unbelievably important because of what he did earlier in the game. You were saying that why did he shoot where he did, and then he didn't even hit the target, which was criminal. And then he goes and scores a much harder goal. It's crazy, isn't it? You got and the weird thing is that first goal of ours, where he does lay it off to Odegaard, which I think was the right choice. But again, another striker full on confidence. Does he take the shot directly? I'm thinking he might do, and not lay it off. And again, does that mean there might be a question mark over his confidence? But there was no lack of it for this goal. No. It's just such a superb finish. And actually, look, Skelly's goal and well, they were all beautiful, weren't they, against City? Every single goal was beautiful to see. But I'd probably think that's probably one of the better of the bunch, or the best of the bunch, because of the way he just took it. It was a difficult goal to strike from that position. But I think, it was Martinelli's... he was overlapping, wasn't he? Because he was running down. I think he changed direction because he was kind of more in the middle when they were running or making the forward run. And then you realised where Martinelli was going. So he kind of changed direction, went more to the right and overlapped him. And it was just beautiful to watch, actually. It was a great transition, I think, Jack. It was quite fast. And it's something more of what we need to be doing. And I'm glad in the last few games we have transitioned from the set pieces to more open play work now. And we've got that back. And that's without Saka. Don't forget, there's no Saka, because Saka would be more the one instigating all of this stuff. So that's huge as well. The fact that we've now adapted, I didn't think we did quite initially, but now I think we've adapted to him not being there and to his absence. Of course, we want him back so badly, but it shows that we can adapt with this squad, and that's without buying the much-needed number 9 or the much-needed forward that we still need, by the way. Let's not make put any cloud or paper over the cracks. Despite 5 goals against City, we still need that player. My God, we do, and we've only got a limited time left. So, there's that to it too. But what a great finish, and so happy for him, because can you imagine if we didn't win, we dropped points, that miss would have been the talking point. But now it's almost like he's vindicated himself, he's redeemed himself. What a great finish. I can't remember who started the pass of the gate, that move.
Partey.
Of course it was right.
Yeah,
so there you go.
So good. So good.
But let me just quickly mention Havertz as well. That Martinelli chance, which forced a save from the keeper, which I think would have been another transitional.
I know which one you mean. Yeah, good shot across the keeper.
Who started that move? That was Havertz in defence. Havertz, he might be criticised for his finishing, but he works hard in so many other areas. That move was started by Havertz because he basically got hold of. I think it was. I can't remember who of the City players had it, but he managed to get the ball off them and start that move off, which led to the Martinelli shot, which the keeper saved. So it's not just the work that people just seem to think, well, he's a finisher, he's supposed to be scoring goals. But there's a lot of other work that Havertz does. So I'd rather get on his side, support the guy and back him up, because I think he's a really important player. He's not our answer to scoring goals, which we need from this player that hopefully will come in. But he does so much work. He's a very, very important member of the squad.
Oh, yeah. Look, I criticise Havertz for his finishing, but I never criticise... I never criticise him even playing. I think he's a very good number 9. He's a great foil. I can see why Arteta loves him so much. What I get annoyed with now is I think he's getting tired earlier in games because he's playing so much, and we don't have anyone to bring on for him. And I'm like, we don't even have an option, because Trossard's playing every game. Trossard is the option. You can't bring Sterling on for him. It's ridiculous. So we can't bring Sterling on for anyone at the moment. So it's just. Like you said, we've got to, and I don't know, we've got 12 hours left in the window. Before I let you go, Neil, Ranieri, he came on, he just raised the level. He had more touches than Haaland in his 10-minute cameo. And within that, maybe he scored the best individual goal in the whole game. But this is the brilliant thing, Neil, because a month ago, we've not got anyone, but a month ago we're going, we need a right winger. And now I think that's completely gone from every fan's mind. Everyone's going, no, we need forwards, but forget about right winger, because we got Ranieri. And what will be really interesting for me, because let's face it, Lewis-Skelly and Ranieri, they're inevitably coming into this team fully. So where will he play for Ranieri is really interesting to me, because at the moment he's looking best in Bukayo Saka's position, and we all know Bukayo Saka's going to play. But what a goal, Neil. But he did other stuff in the game too, some brilliant dribbling and passing, and but that shot, and he's so the opposite of Lewis-Skelly, isn't he? I mean, he scores an amazing goal against the champions, and he just nonchalant. He just wipes his nose, and he's so introverted from what you can see. I don't know him, but from what you can see, and him and Lewis-Skelly, you could see why they're probably best mates, because they're so opposites. You know what I mean? But brilliant for him, wasn't it?
I don't know what else to say about him. I mean, I've been crying for this guy. For me, he's the new Messi. I just think he's just so damn good. And you're right, it wasn't just the goal. There was some lead-up stuff, which he did a little bit earlier on. There's a couple of clips they showed on Match of the Day, and you're like, oh my God, this guy's another fearless player. Like Lewis-Skelly, fearless, another fearless player. He's not scared to go for the defenders. He's not scared to carry the ball. He's not scared to have a go. He's just got all of it. But you're right, the two celebrations could not be further apart in the spectrum, really end-to-end opposites. Unbelievable. He's just like, yeah, I've just scored against City. All right, whatever. That's it, I'm done. It's just brilliant. I mean, in a way, I love it as well because they are so different in personalities. But oh my God, who was it? One of you guys that sent that thing on WhatsApp? 34 passes that led to that, or something. Was it
36? Sorry, yeah.
30, and what? 1 minute and 54 seconds that they had not touched the ball, or something ridiculous. Yep. This is City we're talking about. You know, we're allaying City. Did you think that the fans would be allaying City? It's just, you know, this is Man City. They used to 4 titles on the spin. They've done the treble. The best team that since sliced bread. You know, they've played the best football the Premiership ever seen. No, they haven't. We played the best football the Premiership's ever seen. They've had the best rivalry. No. It was again. No. As you said at the top of the show, that was Arsene Wenger against Ferguson was the only rivalry and will always be the only rivalry. Sorry. One thing they never achieved, Jack, was the Invincibles. We've still got that. We've still got that one. So let's not forget it. But let's celebrate this moment because Nweri, just for me, that was the icing on the cake. I loved Michael's. No, do you know what? I went behind at that point because I wanted to rewind something else because I was so excited what I was seeing. I thought, right, we don't saw another one. That's it. Let me just rewind this. And all of a sudden, I see your messages and I listened to Michael's voice there. And he goes, it just, I don't know what he said now. I can't remember, but it just sums up everything about this. That the elation that we have. This is what it means to be a football fan, Jack. It's just brilliant to see. And to do it against Man City, I think it's almost poetic justice in a lot of ways because they've got all these pending charges. We don't know what's going to come of it. And I just feel that the rivalry we've had with them recently, especially in the last 2 seasons, of course, you've got the Pep Guardiola thing and Mike Mikel Arteta, you know, master apprentice. You've got all of that going on as well. I think it was the icing on the cake for Nweri to take that, and what a finish. And he's done it. We've seen it now. He's got quite a few goals already in his short little career.
He's got 7 goals this season. Only Michael Owen and Wayne Rooney with 9 have scored more goals for a Premier League side while age 17. I don't know how much longer Nweri is 17, but he's got, you know, an opportunity to overtake them as a 17-year-old, I presume.
Could well do it.
And yeah, he's and Lewis-Skelly and Nweri are the first youngest players to score against reigning Premier League champions since Rooney did it against us. So that's another really interesting stat. But Neil, like you said, brilliant.
No, just brilliant. Just brilliant to see. And do you know what? In a weird way, it's come at the right time. And I think you're right. I think at the moment that is probably his best position. It's good because we haven't got Saka. I mean, again, you know, you probably know best, but I don't know whether we're going to see a lot of Saka this season, and you wouldn't want to rush him back. So at least it doesn't matter what happens in terms of the other forward, whoever that might be. If we do get one in, at least we've got the comfort that and where he can play that position, do it well. But I think what I love about all of this is I don't always agree with it. You know I don't, but I think Arteta probably is managing his time good. At least with him, he's managing him very, very well in terms of his minutes and his exposure. Just unbelievable.
Yeah, icing on the cake for a terrific performance. 2 Highlanders scoring, just everything you hope for leading into a game like this. So, but you know, Liverpool still winning, but it keeps us up there. We had to win. You know, it keeps us up there. You know, lots of teams in the top 4 lost points this weekend, which is also a good theme for us. You've got to also look at that. Neil, before you go, because I've overrun, will we sign anyone? And what's your prediction? We've got 12, maybe 14, 16 hours to sign someone. There's not a ton of talk, to be honest, but will we sign someone? And what's your prediction for Wednesday? We've got to try to overturn a 2-0 deficit in a semi-final in the League Cup. I don't know what legs we've got left, to be honest, but what's your prediction?
In terms of the transfers, again, I'm not the best in the purely group to answer that because it's you, Michael, and James. They're brilliant with it and always on top of things. But it's not about whether we will someone. Well, I think we have to sign someone. We still need that player up front, and I don't know whether there's anything that you've heard of during the night. I have no idea whether anything's come to light, but it's been so static, isn't it? And that's frustrating. I think that's frustrating because we've had the whole month to do something or try and solidify something, or at least have something where it's going to be inevitable that it's going to happen even on the last day. But there's nothing. Now, there could also be working behind the scenes and very quietly, and keeping it quiet. And then all of a sudden we might have an announcement in a few hours' time. We don't know. It's very hard to say. Whether we sign someone, I don't know. Whether we need to sign someone, yes, 100%. So we just got to watch this space, Jack. And in terms of, I would not have been confident if not for the win yesterday and how we played, or for you still today. So now I think the players are going to be very much buoyed by this. And whether we get through it or not, whether we can overcome 2-0, that's a different story. But I think we're in a lot of a better position to try and at least have a go. It's always very difficult there at their ground. The atmosphere, as we know, is going to be very oppressive. But I think we're going to be on such a high, finally making a statement win, thrashing a top 4 side, actually killing them off beautifully. I think we've got a good chance. We've got a better chance at least. So my crazy predictions, I'm going to go with a 4-1 win. I just think we're so buoyed by it. I know you're fair to see it. I have to, man. Come on. We've got to celebrate this moment. So I'm going for it. 4-1. And I want 4-1 and Wary. He'll score.
Yeah, I think it'll play for sure. But wow, that'd be epic, Neil. I can't imagine it. But you never know. I'll go. I think we'll go there and do something. But I'll go 2-1 win. I think maybe we'll won't be able to quite turn it around, but we'll see. And on the signings, I think the only option is this boy from Bayern who's on a loan, because I don't think we're going to do a big deal. So I'm keeping an eye on that player. Maybe something happens with him on a straight loan. Matthias Tell, I think he's a 19-year-old French striker. Lots of people talking good things about him. So we just need something for Havertz. We need someone that can provide the energy that he's got for 20 minutes in games, or if something happens to him, because if something happens to him, we're really, really struggling up there, and I think it's negligent at the moment to where we're leaving him. On the wide positions we might be able to cope, but beyond that. But Neil, thanks so much. Yeah,
that's a great point about Havertz.
Yeah, worry about him really, because he's great. So, but fantastic win. Fingers crossed for Wednesday. Then we get a little break. I think we all need it, hopefully. But let's hope we can put in one more massive 90-minute shift. Up the Arsenal, at Purely Arsenal FP on Twitter. Thank you for subscribing, listening on YouTube or on your other apps. And we'll be back after the next one. Up the Arsenal. Come on, you Gooners.